Hello, you malty macho malt mavens, and thank you to Aaron Shyam or Shian for that malt mention. I'm Ralphie in the Bothy, somewhere in the Irish Sea, with a whisky review, and it's a single malt because I'm doing a short series at the moment on official bottlings, widely available, not necessarily whiskies I would buy if I wasn't reviewing them, but I just want to give you my opinion and my perspective should you consider buying them for yourselves. And what I have here today is Tom and Toole Speyside Distillery. Very much off the radar up until a few years ago when, like a few other distilleries including Strathmill, Tomatin, Tormore, it was invisible as a single malt except through some of the independent bottlers because it was producing for blends, so contributing towards blended scotch by contributing the malt component. And when blenders are blending, they want a full palate range of malts. Not just a load of strong flavoured malts like Talisker, for example, or Mortlach, another good example. Distinctive, assertive single malts. They're also looking for softer, gentler single malts, and Tom and Toole is definitely, along with Glenmurray, for example, another good example, one, or Tamnavullen, yep, one of the gentler single malts. And to be honest, it's not one that I'm immediately attracted to for buying because it's a bit in the soft side, and I find it generally pleasant but a little bit anemic, a bit like Knockando. But this particular bottling is a little bit different from the standard range, which is fairly extensive. You can get all sorts of versions of Tom and Toole, but many of them are bottled at 40%. In fact, most of them are bottled, of the standard range, are bottled at 40%, chill filtered, etc. You know the script. This is more of an integrity bottling. They don't state that it's natural colour, but if you look at that, I can assure you that's pretty much a natural colour. It's reassuring because it's telling me that there's a good proportion of first fill or fresh ex-bourbon casks being used to contribute towards this batch of single malt. It's bottled at 46%, and it states on the label not chill filtered. And when you look at the bottle, in a nice cool wintertime bothy, you can clearly see there's a little bit of a haze. So we're off to a pretty good start, and I bought this bottle because I like the fact that here is an example from Tom and Toole who are sort of reaching out a little bit with a version of their whisky to appeal to the more discerning quality end of the market who are looking for a stronger delivery of flavour and smell, particularly the flavour. It does say in the label, beside the 46% high strength, it should really say higher strength, because when we think of a high strength whisky, we're really looking at 50% volume and above. But I'm just quibbling on little details. Let's move on to nosing and tasting this whisky. First impressions in the nose: pleasant. Cereal, bit of barley sugar, grainy, touch of vanilla, soft. In fact, they help you out in the label by describing Tom and Toole under the name the gentle dram. It is gentle. It's understated. It's the style of the malt. First taste. Bit sharp, but plenty of flavour. A good delivery of development. Slightly gingery. vanilla infused, absolutely. So these fresh bourbon casks, they're really showing. And a fairly, it's a kind of reasonable but soft finish. So you've got a big punch in the arrival, slightly acetic, quite citrusy, grain citrusy. But first taste is perfectly decent. Certainly it's carrying more punch than any version bottled at 40%. I am of course going to add water because water works. It works for me and it works for some of you. If it doesn't work for you, don't add it. Full teaspoon, 5 millilitres. Gently as we go. You will really benefit from letting this sit for about 20 minutes, because initially when you come back to tasting it after adding water, it's very similar but slightly dilute from when you tasted it before adding water. However, gradually over time, a bit more complexity seems to be coming out of the spirit itself. I mean, this is 14 years old, so it's had a good cask engagement to deliver a little bit of spirity youthfulness, but certainly not an old whisky, far from it. But it's got that kind of roundedness in. You can see there's a positive, quite assertive cask interaction. So a very good age actually for Tom & Toole. As a 10-year-old, it's just kind of too feisty and young. But at 14, from my previous experiences with Tom & Toole, this is a moment where it's really finding its feet. And I reckon that this is why they bottled it as a 14-year-old rather than a 12-year-old, because the folk at the distillery know the character of their malt and they respond accordingly. So it's all good. The nose remains soft, no peat in here, no big heavy savoury notes, no assertive sensations dominating in any way, whether it be sweet, sour, salt, bitter or savoury. Certainly no savoury about it. A little bit of gingeriness and slightly pickle note coming through in the development, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I should be tasting it first before I tell you this. I have had a few drams, but you will notice, realistically, not that many. It doesn't take many, to be honest, with some malts to get to know them. The simpler the malt, the quicker you get to discover it. Flavour. Well, we'll start with the nose. Lighter, fresh fruit, slightly appley, banana, biscuity, cereal, honeyed, lovely. Taste. Much more composed on the arrival. Beautiful grainy sweet and sour note. Better than I was expecting, because we all get prejudiced over time. There's those that are honest about it and those that just deny it, so I'm being honest about it. Smell and taste are very emotive sensations and experiences. Smell and taste go straight to the non-objective areas of the brain for analysis, and we tend to have quite a lot of emotional attachments to certain smell and tastes. So when we come across something which is a little bit different, we can be a bit too judgmental. I occasionally do that, and so do you. Don't deny it. Taste again. Nice cereal, honeyed, biscuity, sweet and sour, touch of bitter in the development, gingery, a nice undernote of vanilla, bit of muscovado there, slight, some spearmint, a light mint, a mild mint note. Going into the finish again, slightly gingery, powdered ginger, a hint of rosewater in the finish as well, which I wasn't expecting. And because we don't have enough time in this review, I'm just going to cut to the quick and tell you that in 15 minutes time, you're going to notice some lovely little fresh fruit notes start to appear in the glass. There's a surprise. You think that you've had the event, but because you've been patient and persevered, you're being rewarded with that little bit extra that is completely indiscernible when you first approach this whisky. Thoroughly enjoyable for that reason, but I can't get too heavy in the malt marks. So what am I going to give this? I've challenged myself. I very, very rarely buy Tom & Toole. This is possibly the first one I've ever reviewed. I should have checked before I started recording this video, but I haven't because I'm too busy with this. But there you go. I'm just telling you as it is. And I think this is quite a worthy 83. No, that's too harsh. 84. 84 out of 100. And that is, in my opinion, an integrity malt mark. I think this is an integrity delivery of a soft whisky which is giving it substance and body and delivery, and it makes it the recommended Tom & Toole if you're going to go out and buy one. Thank you for watching. If you want to pop back again, I shall be presenting Ralphie Review 917 Extras, in which I will be introducing you to a style of whisky you have never seen before, unless you've been in a supermarket in the UK. Oh, you're intrigued now, you really want to know. Well, you're going to have to wait, malt mates, because that video will be along just shortly. Bye-bye.